All right, we're live. Hello, everybody. Hello, Maree. Hello, Tyler. Today, I'm very excited to start, and I think this is going to end up being different episodes of Tyler's amazing book. Tyler is a podcaster from Journey to Truth, and he wrote the most amazing book called Bleed Through. And Tyler, welcome back. And I would love it if you could, so people aren't too confused out there, like explain a little bit about what's in the book, what it's about, and before we start with the questions.
Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you for having me on, and I appreciate the opportunity to come and just share my experiences and dive deeper into some of that. I'm grateful to be here, so thank you, and good to see you guys again. And the book is basically a compilation. Well, it chronicles my awakening essentially, and everything that happened from since my mother's passing in 2011 until basically the end of last year, early this year. By the time I finished writing the book, and not everything because that's impossible to put into one book, and there will be a part two, but it's the highlights, and it wasn't so important to me just to tell these stories just to tell them. It was more important to me to tell these stories and share these experiences and what I learned from them, because that's like there was a lesson in each one of those for me, and each one acted like it was like kind of like the belts in karate, right? It's like you get a new belt each time and you keep moving up. I feel like that's just the way it is. Each one is like training for something bigger. And, this is a spiritual war we're in the middle of. And I feel like I had to go through all that adversity and all those dark moments to learn the lesson, to rise above it, and then share with the people what I've learned from that, because otherwise, what's the point? Like, there's no point in just telling these fantastical stories unless there's a lesson in it for the reader as well. But it starts off with, some astral realm stuff and the dream warfare and all that stuff that I dealt with, and then gets into like some targeting, some honeypot situations I was in, and the CIA and the secret space programs and all that stuff, abductions, inner earth. I mean, it's kind of all over the place, but I tried to dovetail it. And then the second half of the book is where I get into the memories from these other timelines. And I get into like the origins of time travel and timeline wars, and I kind of break down what that looks like. And then the last part of the book is some information that was downloaded or I experienced during a 12-hour mushroom trip that I call the hero's journey. And I would never write that information off because it changed me forever. And I think there's something to it, to tapping in to that, whatever realm that is, whenever you take psychedelic, mushrooms. There's something to it, and there's real information that I feel like I'm not the only one, because other people who tap into that stuff as well. There's commonalities, there's themes across that. So that's what the book is, and you've read it a few times, and I'm interested to hear, what you found interesting about it too.
Well, and before I tell you about that, I've had several people, of course, that I've told about the book. Every single one of them has read it within 1 day or 2 days.
Wow.
And and a very good friend of mine here in the area just told me that she had some things that came back to her, memories that were popping back in. So, and I know you know this already, but for the audience, it looks like Tyler's book was also created for others to awaken, to realize that they also have gone through these type of experiences. And so, that's a big deal. That's really a big deal. So it's just really, truly an amazing book, and so grateful that you wrote it, because I saw the difference in my friend and how important it was for her to kind of start receiving these memories.
Well, that's such amazing feedback, and it makes me really excited to do the next one, but also it makes it worth it, because it's nerve-wracking being vulnerable like that, and opening myself up in the way I did in the book. It's hard to even tell those stories in real time, much less put it out there in a book that can be read forever. So it's just, I realized I tried to actually start writing the book and like censor myself, but it wasn't working. And I was like, I just have to tell this the way the way it is, the way it happened, and just be real about it. And I think that was the right choice because, well, it was the only way I could do it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been what it is. And I appreciate the feedback, though. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And 400 pages almost is a lot to read in 1 or 2 days. So kudos to whoever's doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a page turner, and I have so many questions. I don't know how we're going to get this done, but I am ready to get started because I really want to know about this stuff. And so I am going to start. First of all, I want to show the book so people can see it. If they want to get it, I believe the link is in the description because I knew people would want to read it if they haven't yet or bought it yet. So, all right. So let's go to, let's see. This is lucid dreaming and astral interference. And you were talking about, let's see. You were talking about a vision of you being tortured on an ET craft and getting radiation poisoning.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And so on there, you have something that says, a side note, people believe that English language derives from an ancient reptilian language called Slask, which supposedly has the power to cast spells when spoken. So, Maree, can you do the cards and see if this is the case?
Sure. I'll just say I deliberately haven't read the book, so I didn't get preconceived ideas. And as Elisa said, I would have just got taken off into realms. And this way, it's like it'll happen here, hopefully, when it happens. So.
Yeah. And if you want to, Tyler, while Maree is shuffling the cards and picking the cards, can you tell people about what it is that you were, what was happening at the time? Because I know you were having paralyzing like dreams and.
Well, yeah, that one in particular I woke up ill. I woke up, everything about the morning was off. I woke up, I felt like I had just been somewhere, but I couldn't grab on to the memory. Like a word on the tip of your tongue. That's the way I like to describe it. I just knew. I was sideways in my bed and I was literally ill. I was sick and I didn't know what was wrong. And it took me forever to get out of bed, and I got up and I was just sort of lost for words. I was kind of walking around like a zombie. It was just like almost like I had to like get used to this reality again or something. It was just weird. And I remember sitting out on my back deck, just like staring off into the distance forever. Like I was just literally out of it. I wasn't even like fully integrated back into my body. And I kept feeling worse and worse. So I reached out to two of my energy healer friends, Reiki healers, and one's local, one lived in Washington State at the time, and two completely different people. And I just had them both kind of scan and see, and they both independently came to the conclusion that I was experiencing radiation poisoning, what they were able to tap into energetically. And how is that possible? Unless I had actually been taken somewhere and experienced a radiation poisoning like that. So I ended up, my friend who was local got me in right away, and she started doing a session on me and started doing this clearing. Well, when she did, this reptilian being came into the room. There's like this presence. I couldn't physically see him, but you know how they're multidimensional, right? It's like they're there, but you can't see them. And he came into the room and he started speaking this language into her ear, and she sounded like it was almost like he was speaking in tongue. And she recognized right away that he was trying to put her under like hypnosis or under a spell or something to stop her from reversing what they had done to me on the craft the night before. And it was extremely intense. Like I don't know how to describe the energy in the room and the battle that she was having energetically with this guy and what she was relaying to me. I mean, she was like in tears even, and like it was intense for me because she's trying to pull this stuff out of my body, and like it was this whole wild experience. But yeah, that side note about the reptilian language being Slask, I didn't make up that term. I've heard other like SSP experiencers use that term to describe the reptilian language, and but that it makes sense to me, especially whenever you look into our history and like how everything is spelling, like casting spells. When we hiss, when we say the letter S, it's very serpentine. And I think that this is there's something to that, and the way we I think the human language was designed by the people who designed us, and to keep us in that state of amnesia, so we are constantly keeping ourselves under that illusion by casting spells literally all day, every day, that maintain the facade. So I think that's kind of what's going on there.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So go ahead, Maree.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. So the first card up is the Queen of Swords. Now, to me, she's someone that she's a speaker. She speaks directly. She speaks of truth, but they've made it. The Four of Wands is about feeling safe in your house. So we feel safe even with this speaking that we're doing, exactly what you're saying. And then we've got our Two of Swords, which I love, because this is people started asking questions. So the Two of Swords to me is when more questions are asked. And what happened, then I got told to pull two more cards. The King of Cups came up. He hides stuff emotionally. So there's something hidden. Now that people I'm getting goosebumps with this again. Now that people are getting balanced, we can move forward. It doesn't matter that we're speaking this language. We've gone beyond it. That's what's coming up. So yes, it was definitely done for that reason. We've superseded it now.
I agree with that, because it's, it's basically what we believe in, right? So like if you believe you're casting spells, like we've been tricked into that already. But once you're aware of the trick, it loses power over you, right? So we can speak, and we don't have to change the way we speak or create new words, because we've already dismantled the spell. Like we've already dissolved that illusion, and we just rise above it because we're operating from a higher frequency in general. It's a new baseline frequency. And maybe like for the subconsciously, the masses who aren't aware of that, it might still be in effect for them. But I think once you personally understand that that's what's happening, it loses its power and potency.
Completely. Well said. Yep.
Absolutely. And something else you were talking about was that the other thing that you were wondering, Tyler, in the book was about who the shadow people truly are. So you were saying that you have seen shadow people, and they're either observing or directly interacting with you. They always seem to be present during these events. So who are the shadow people? What can the cards tell us about these shadow people?
Yes, I would actually love to know what the cards say about that.
Yeah, because I don't even really have a context for what that means. So I'm just going to go completely with what comes through here.
Yeah, and if you want to, Tyler, you can explain what shadow people are so that the cards have a little bit more of a clear understanding.
Yeah, so it's basically during sleep paralysis or any of the like experiences I've had, abduction or whatever it is, even military stuff that I've experienced, there seems to be a shadow figure, quite literally a humanoid figure, but just a black shadow. No features, but it still carries an energy. It still has emotions. You can still almost communicate with it, but it's not showing up in a physical form. It's like just a shadow, almost like a void in a weird way. But that's how it shows up. And they're always around, sometimes directly on top of me, like if I'm waking up fighting like this thing on top of me, right? Or in other cases, they're just always like seem to be somewhere observing it, only in the negative experiences, right? Never really seen them in the positive, during the positive experiences. So I don't know if, some people call them the watchers. They're just kind of monitoring the situation and these events, and to see maybe even how I'm reacting or whatever the case is. I don't think there's one simple answer for it. Mm-hmm. So maybe we can see what the cards say. It could also be somebody in disguise, you know, too. I don't know.
And I'd love it too. Like, I'll do the cards, but if anyone else has sort of had this experience, it's always good to get different perspectives from people sort of in the audience there. So, oh, that one's hot. Let's just bring you out. Well, straight up, we've got a yes, because I've got my Ace of Swords. It was so hot, and I went, oh yeah, that one has to come up. So what you're saying, it's truth. It's absolutely truth. So you're not crazy. It's all good. Okay. It's so interesting because we've now got our 3 of Cups. This to me is a celebration card. So it's almost like it's something for you to celebrate, that you are aware of them, that you perceive them, that you have a connection with them. Oh my God, here we go. You've actually been one. You've been a watcher. You've been one of the goosebumps
Wow.
again. You've been one, and this is why you can connect with them. And the first card that came up that I didn't bring up until I got told it was time, it's the 9 of Swords. This is, you don't have to worry about it. Even though you've had those experiences, you don't have to worry about it, because this one is, you don't worry at night time. You don't have to go into fear with it. So there would be an aspect of you that has got that within you as well. So yeah.
Go ahead, please go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what I'm getting. The Knight of Wands has come up. So just be mindful when actions have been taken. To me, this is someone that's almost going the wrong way. So don't, you just trust what you get and what you need to do. So with it. But I mean, you're probably off watching someone somewhere. You're probably doing that anyway. So, the Tower. But this has been a huge shift for you, whatever's gone on with this. And I feel you're going to probably have some more big shifts through this experience with that, with the watchers, as you call them, or the shadows. So, but you don't have to be worried about it. It's fine.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's so fascinating, because for one, I got a major full body hit as soon as you said I've been one, which literally had never crossed my mind. It never even occurred to me that I could have been one, but of course it makes sense. So that was like a whole, not even just like the chills, but almost emotional hit.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I have to sit with that one. Thank you. But then, yeah, I definitely overcame that. Like I know I did. And everything stopped. Like, I don't experience the stuff that you're reading about in the book anymore. And I feel like in a way, like I had that tower moment and graduated, and I went through it because I had to experience it. I had to understand the spiritual war, the depth of it, the lengths they'll go to, what's possible, and which is everything, you know, and how it looks and how to overcome it, and, you know, how to rise above it. I had to go through that fire. I think that was all part of my time here on Earth. And now I'm, you know, every once in a while there's something weird that happens that's foreign and new, and I actually am more intrigued by it than I am scared, because I'm like, what is this now? And that's something we can get into later if you want, because I did kind of recently come encounter something like that when I was in Egypt. But for the most part, it's all stopped. And I definitely feel like it's a non-issue, and I'm not scared of it. And like, they just, either the lessons, I've learned a lesson and that chapter is closed, or they literally just can't even affect me anymore because of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Wow. And it looks like Kathleen got it before we even said it. That's so interesting. So good job, Kathleen. You got it right. Okay. So I'm trying to get to the chapter of the spiders. Okay. So sorry, I'm going so fast.
No, I mean, if we're going to be doing multiple parts, I mean, there's no reason to rush it, right? I mean, we can spend as much time as you'd like on it, each part. So
yeah, I just want to know what happened. So it's just me wanting to know what happened. But okay. So in chapter 3, so Tyler has this friend from work that his name is Larry. And so tell people about Larry, because we're going to talk about Larry trying to recruit you and whatever happened to him. So people know who Larry is. You can go ahead and explain.
Yeah, I'll try to give you the Cliff Notes version of that, because that could be an episode in itself, telling that whole story. So basically in 2017, this guy I worked with, who we were friends at the time. We were both in construction. He was a laborer. I was a carpenter. We carpooled together. I knew him. He lived close to me. Fun guy, likes sports, normal as they come. One day we're on separate job sites because in construction, we're always working all over the city, right? We're on separate job sites, and I hear through the grapevine, which travels very quickly in construction, that Larry got escorted off the job by these black government vehicles, and nobody knows what happened to him. Like what he did or anything was just all like hearsay, but in speculation, nobody knew why. And he kind of went dark off the internet for a while, and then he shows back up and into my life, and he's a completely different person. Actually, he has all this information about disclosure related stuff, the awakening, weather warfare, parallel timelines, UFOs, underground bases, clones, the deep state. I mean, like this crazy stuff that I was still getting my feet wet back then, so a lot of it was unfamiliar to me. And he started just like basically overwhelming me with all this information. And if you're interested in how all that looked, you can read the book. But he also told me that he was being recruited, or he had been chosen to go participate in this Mars program. And he was told that in Labor Day weekend of 2017, that a catastrophic event was going to happen on Earth, and that he and a select few were being chosen to be relocated to Mars to help preserve the human race. Like this is the storyline that they feed people. And in fact, Andrew Bashago, if you're familiar with his testimony, they told him something similar, except his was completely different. And I think he's a credible source. Nevertheless, that's not why they need people to go to Mars, but that's what they're telling them. And to make you feel like you're doing a righteous thing. And for some reason, whoever was talking to him, and he did have handlers because we were being followed. Every time we hung out, black vehicles would come by, the helicopters, like all the stuff, check all the boxes. It was happening. Nevertheless, he believed he was going, but he also told that he was also told to basically invite me, like try and recruit me. And he didn't understand why that they were allowing him to even get close to me, because they took his wife got a restraining order against him. His kids didn't want anything to do with him. His whole life, he lost his job. His whole life just went down the drain overnight, basically. And everybody he tried to get close to, they pulled out of his life. But I was the only person that they would let him talk to. And he was so perplexed by this. He didn't understand it either. But he did know that like he basically had orders that were to try and convince me to go with him to join this Mars program, which back then at the time, I didn't even know about the secret space program or anything. So I thought he was nuts. But part of me on a deeper level was intrigued. And I wanted to hear him out because he was my friend. And like, I didn't know, like I was having mixed emotions about the whole thing, because when he would say things, it would resonate, but it shouldn't have made sense because it was all crazy to me back then. And at the end of that summer, he eventually, it's a whole long story. I'll just skip to the end. The last day that I saw him, he told me that he was leaving the next day, and I didn't believe him. And he's told me, I'll see you on the other side. And then he went missing for 7 years. Now, did he leave the planet for 7 years? Did he go to jail for 7 years? That's anyone's guess. But he went missing.
That's part of what I want to know.
Right. Me too. Like he could have, like, I've had dreams and visions to where I feel like he genuinely was brought in to some type of a program. Maybe he didn't go to Mars, but he might have believed he was going to Mars. I think he genuinely was brought into a program based on some of the experiences I've had, but I can't prove it. So I'd be interested to see what the cards say happened to him.
So what's coming to mind, and it's not the question that I had first, is what's coming to mind was Larry taken in to get mind controlled or MK Ultra or whatever to come back and get Tyler. Okay. Was he, in other words, was he implanted to get Tyler? And so it was, Larry wasn't the important person. It was someone had to get into Tyler's circle to get him to go to Mars. And so they took him and did whatever, and then came back and then tried to recruit him.
Yeah, was Tyler the goal at the end of the day?
Yes. Yes.
And Tyler, I'm intrigued. Had you done any sort of DNA testing but at that stage? Did they do that in the US like routinely, or you know what I mean? Was there anything that could have given away maybe your bloodline, something like that, just out of interest?
You know, that's very possible. I just don't. If it was just a normal doctor visit. I never went out of my way to give blood or anything like that.
Right.
It would have been just a normal doctor's visit that would have taken blood. During that time, prior to that, I just did go through a major shoulder surgery, so that could have easily, and I was out cold and woke up, and so that was like just prior to that. So there could have been something.
What about didn't you live in a place when you were little where the military came into the rooms
and yeah, so that was, I didn't even put that in my book, and I'm kicking myself for forgetting to add that into the book, but it'll be how the next book starts. But yeah, in 5th grade, the military the Air Force in particular came into our classroom. And I'll never forget, this was a core memory my whole life because I was enamored by these guys when they walked in the room. And they came into our classroom and asked the entire class to draw a spaceship. They wanted us to invent a spaceship. And they told us that young minds have the best ideas, and they wanted to see what we could come up with as far as getting the space. How would we design a craft, And everyone in the class basically drew some form of a rocket. And I drew a triangle craft. I didn't even know why. I just drew kind of like, a stealth bomber or the TR, just something triangular shaped. And I remember looking around at all the rockets that people were drawing, and I felt like I got the answer wrong or something. And I almost wanted to change it, but it was too late. They started collecting the papers and stuff, and I just turned in this triangle, and they thanked everybody and walked out, But whenever you're a kid and a man in uniform walks in, you're enamored by it. So that memory always stuck with me. It wasn't until I learned about the secret space program and how they target children and all that stuff way later in life that I even considered that there was something more to that. In my opinion, I think they were trying to see who had memory of some sort of a craft or program, and who was tapping into that. So maybe that's what happened there. I don't know.
And that's why I was intrigued, because I felt like they'd already pinpointed you. And before you even said it, I saw you drawing a triangular craft. So really? It's really interesting. So I think they had their eye on you for a while.
I mean, apparently, looking back on it now, it seems to be the case, but I was so oblivious to it, that throughout my whole life.
Because, and this is a question for later about where you were working. So, yeah, I think so. But go ahead, Maree.
Yeah. Oh, wowza. So the first card up is our 5 of Pentacles. To me, this is when you're out in the cold, like you're different and there's going to be some change, but it's like they're not bringing you in from that early age, but they know. And then there's the Death card. Now, this is the transition. So at some point they would have realized, right, it's time, but it didn't work. 10 of Swords, it just didn't work. Yeah. That to me is an ending, a finishing, and you had to agree to go, but you didn't. And that's why you've got the 10 of Cups, which is a really positive, emotional story at the end. Isn't that incredible that you've got?
Right. Yeah. And you're talking specifically about like going with Larry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I always wondered what would happen if I just said, yeah, okay, like get in the truck with him and see where that car ride took me. Like, it's anyone's guess, right? I might not even be here now. Who knows?
I'm getting goosebumps, and that to me means that something in your soul stopped you for whatever it was. And I think, there might have even been a physical stopping by the soul if it needed to happen, if you'd said yes, almost. Because once you give, what I'm getting told is once you give them permission, you belong to them.
That's true.
Right. But things were being manipulated in my reality at that time too, because Larry, one day, he sent me a text. Yeah. He said, hey, sorry to hear about your foot. Don't worry, it's just a sprain. You'll be okay. I'm like, what is he talking about? And no, I didn't have a foot injury, right? Well, I got at the end of the day, I said, what do you mean? He's like, oh, just a premonition. I get those sometimes. And Or maybe it was nothing. Next day, I get transferred to another job, and a railroad track, a steel railroad track, rolls off the forks of this forklift that's unloading it and smashes my foot between the concrete curb and it. And I thought I shattered my foot. It was a miracle. My foot almost turned to rubber. And like everybody that witnessed it can't believe that I walked away, including myself. And then it hit me. I'm like, how did he know something that was going to happen? And then he told me that he's like, oh, but it would be a perfect excuse to leave work and come with me.
Oh
and,
my God.
And like, so it was like almost like they were trying to injure me to get me to leave work. So I had an excuse to like pack my bag and all this stuff. And which he gave me very specific instructions on what like kind of bag I should pack and like what I could or couldn't bring and to have it ready because it wasn't sure when we were leaving. Like it got that real, you know?
Wow.
Well, Tyler, that's amazing. And it was really interesting because I was wondering if there'd been something going on like that. And the cards that came up with your story, Queen of Pentacles, this is a contemplating of your reality and what's going on in it at that time. They came in. This is a military card that for me, that Knight of Swords is military. But then the Judgment cards come up. So you had something looking after you. That Judgment card is like truth came through.
Yeah, that's interesting. So can we pull the cards and see where Larry went or if he went anywhere?
Well, before
I'll
we
see if
do
I'm an
that,
expert.
so that's the question I wanted, but we still need to answer the original question, which is, was Larry brought in back into his life to get to recruit him?
Yeah. I mean, I got yes straight away, but I'll get it, and that's what I got through the cards, but I'll do it again so that we get it like you.
Oh, if those cards told you that, then that's fine. I just wanted to make sure.
And the Four of Swords is confirming that because Larry was like a hidden sword, but the truth came out. So the truth always comes out with the Four of Swords, but it takes a while. So he was definitely hidden.
Well, he knew because the day that I decided to walk my dog at the park, what's that? Go ahead. Another tower card? Yeah.
So it could have been a huge tower moment for you in your life.
Right.
He was definitely there. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. Well, whenever I randomly decide to take my dog to this military base to walk her on this trail, it's a park near a military base, but it's on the military base. It's all just, whatever. It's just the way it's set up. And the first time I ever had the thought to take my dog walking there, and I pulled into the lot of 4 parking lots I could have chose from. It's a big figure-8 trail that goes 3 miles. And I could have picked any lot. I parked, and 2 spots over was Larry in his truck, and nobody had seen him or heard from him since he'd been pulled off of the job site, right? And so I looked over, and I was like, Larry? And he said, without missing a beat, he said, you showed up. And I said, what do you mean I showed up? And he's like, you don't think you're here by accident, do you? Like just that matter of factly. And that's how it all started. That's how it all started. And right off the bat, like there was somebody there like listening to us with an earpiece in, and like it was very obvious. Like it was almost overtly, like almost too overt in a way. So I would know, but I was so naive to all this stuff. I was just walking right into every trap because I didn't know, but also I think I had to so I can understand like what this was,
Yeah. So Maree, how is he being manipulated to go to that park, or is it like, how is it his intuition? Like how does that connect? Like how does Tyler think of, oh, let me go to the park. Oh, let me go to this. Yeah. Like what's driving him to actually meet Larry?
Yeah.
Right.
Tyler, do you have an idea of what it was? Have you sort of come to a conclusion with that?
Well, so I grew up near that military base, not far, just a few miles away from it. And then in 5th or 6th grade, we moved to the barracks, which is the old barracks that they turned into townhomes. And basically we were living on base. It was such a normal thing to me growing up. I never thought twice about it until like a couple of years ago, whenever some friends were visiting me in St. Louis, and I drove them through the park and the base and showing them some stuff. And I was like, yeah, this is where I grew up. And she looked at me and she goes, on base? And I was like, I guess so. Like, it just never occurred to me that I literally grew up like on this base to where I could have been easily taken or targeted. And so part of me, it felt like home to me, quite literally. Like when I would go there, it was comfortable because that was my childhood and it was our stomping grounds. And like who, God knows what happened, thinking about all the times we just went in the woods and whatever. But so anytime I would, like, there was the first time I ever decided to take my dog there, because I always walked her around the neighborhood. And it was just a rare, I woke up to this video, like, to get in nature. It was like all perfectly laid out to steer me to that park that morning, though. And so that might explain why.
I love that. And that's actually been confirmed by the card, because our Knight of Pentacles has come up. He, to me, is a messenger. He brings a physical, like, realistic message, but it's done in a way that's it's not like, here you go. It's done step by step. So that actually absolutely concurs with what you've said. So you were being manipulated, definitely. So I'll just pull a few more and see if we get anything else from that.
Do you get an idea, Maree, of how he's being manipulated? Is it was being manipulated, not is?
Yeah.
Do you get a sense at all, Maree?
It's through emotions. So they would be using exactly what Tyler was talking about, like using videos or whatever it was, and through the emotions, because that 3 of Swords is when your heart is getting pulled on, or there's something going on in your heart. So you said it feels like home for you. So it's something that would have made you feel comfortable. So I feel it was done, with whether it's frequency, whether it's like videos, whether it's definitely an emotional aspect they're working on, because they would have known, how you work. Like,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. And that was always my biggest soft spot too. So, that we're manipulated through our emotions until we gain that emotional intelligence, and self-awareness. So.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So he was manipulated to go there. Okay. And then, so anyway, Larry disappears, supposedly goes to Mars. Did he go to Mars? What happened to Larry during that time? Because I know Larry comes back after that, didn't he? After going to Mars? Or no?
Yeah. So, and well, 2020, late 2024, I got a Facebook friend request from him again.
Yes.
After not hearing from him since 2017. Yeah. And I decided to not engage because it brought up all this stuff within me that I kind of like ran from. It was like a fight or flight moment, and I just ended up blocking him instead. And maybe in hindsight, I should have accepted it and like pursued that. But that's when I started. At that same time, I was having these dreams about him again, which I can tell you about after we pull these cards. But I don't know where he went.
Okay, let's just see. I mean, and the other thing is too, of course, are we going to look at Mars as a planet that's in the sky that people go to? I guess that's what we sort of have to decide, is what is Mars, because otherwise, that's
or we can ask, like, was he taken to what he believed was Mars?
Yeah, I love it. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yep, he thought it was Mars because that 4 of Wands has come up again, and to him that was exactly where he was. That was what was going on. That was his home. So he felt quite, this is what it is. And Temperance, I feel though with the Temperance card, it's like it was done slowly, because Temperance is patience, but it does mean that you'll have a change of address or a change of your home. So it was done quite slowly for him to feel that. And I mean, they might have called it Mars. It might have been a whole place that it was called Mars. So that's just how it was spoken about. So, okay, now the 8 of Wands has come up. So this is really interesting. I'm wondering if he's come out of it. I'm wondering if he's actually woken up to what has gone on, because that's a really fast action card. So, yeah. But and I'm just going to just do this as well. Yeah. So I was asking, was it the right thing for Tyler to do, basically, when you blocked him? And it was, you were looking forward to your future. Yes, it was. You were letting go of the past. So that 3 of Wands is always about, okay, what do we need to do to actually make things right for me? So no, you did the right thing.
I felt like I didn't want to open that door again. Something inside of me just didn't want to do it. Like, yes, the inquisitive side of me was like, well, yeah, what happened? Let's ask him, But then part of me was like, no, because I felt like had I accepted that, I would have been consenting to something else again that would have been just completely unnecessary for me to go through again. So,
Spot on.
yeah,
Absolutely. And the Tower card just dropped out. So it would have created a Tower moment in your life.
right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, hindsight, who knows? But I did. So the day I got the request from him, which this isn't in the book, I actually I was going to put it in there, but then I decided not to. I was just on my mind all day, and I was like, is he, man, I thought like he's back. I thought he was dead. I didn't know if we were ever going to hear from him again. It's just constantly on my mind. So what happens? I have a dream where I'm with my stepdad, and we go to visit Larry at the VA hospital, which is a real place right there next to that base, next to right where I met him originally. And we pulled up, and I went to visit Larry in the hospital, and he was in bed, and he had some like major issues with his hips, and like he could barely stand. He got up, and I was like, Larry, you know, what happened to you? Like, it's been 7 years. And he's like, what do you mean? It's been 4 years. I said, no, it's been 7 years. And I said, what happened to you? He's like, oh, I fell. He goes, I fell and I screwed up my hips, and I've been in rehab. I was like, for 4 years? It was almost like he was in this military VA hospital, but he had been mind wiped and given this like cover story that he had fallen and hurt his hips, and he had just been in there recovering the whole time. And he thought it was like only 4 years. And I was like, Larry, you've been gone since 2017. Like, it's been almost 7 years. And he was like literally arguing me on it. He's like, no, I've been in here for 4 years. And then like, he was like struggling to get around, and he had to like lay back down. And then that's all I remember. But it was so real. I woke up and I was like, I literally thought I had just been there and like was talking to him. And why my stepdad was with me is anyone's guess. But that was just something that occurred that same day that I got the friend request from him. And that told me that he was definitely like mind wiped from whatever actually happened to him. So if I were to question him, he may have no memory of it.
That's brilliant. It really is. And, you know, you would have been lucid dreaming. You would have actually been connecting with him. Yeah.
Right. I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question that Nicole was asking is if they have a past life together, if Larry and Tyler have had a past life together.
Tyler, what are your thoughts on this?
Never thought about it, but I imagine everybody we run into in this life is a soul family on some level. So I would be surprised if we didn't actually. But let's see what the cards say. I mean, this is all so fascinating to me. I really genuinely appreciate this because it's helping. It's actually like therapy in a way. I really appreciate it.
Good.
And it's interesting because I love these groups as well, because there's questions I would never think about. And I go, oh, wow, I would never have gone there. So it's really cool. All right. So let's just see if we're allowed to be shown if there was any connection in other lifetimes with these two. Oh, this is so interesting. I'm getting a yes. Now, the devil cards come up, but this to me is that there is something in our deep subconscious that needs to come up to be released almost, or cleared or healed. So there could have been a similar situation in another lifetime, and you might have been the one trying to get Larry to go, you know. So this is why
Right.
I think the devil cards come up. You're playing roles for each other in that sense. So let me just see if anything else wants to come through. It's sort of self-explanatory, really, isn't it, when you look at it like that? Yeah, but it's perfect. The 10 of Cups again. So you've whatever it is, you've ticked that box. Your soul's experienced it, and
Right.
it's positive.
You know what's interesting about that devil card? Just looking at the actual picture, that reminded me of a story Larry told me, because there's two people on that card, right?
That's right. I'll get it back out. Here we go. Yeah.
So Larry told me this story about how him and his brother, they had like built a fort in the living room when they were kids, and they were sleeping on the floor next to each other, and they were woken up by the devil. He told me, he said he was like literally was like standing over them and like talking to them, and but it wasn't interacting with Larry, it was interacting with his brother. But he just tells me like told it so matter of factly, like that it was a real thing that happened that he had actually forgotten about until like way later. But that card the way it was represented with the two people there and the devil standing above them. Like, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Fascinating.
So the other question I had, Tyler, why were they recruiting you to go to Mars? What can the card tell us? Why?
Well, actually, Tyler, do you want to talk first? What you got?
Yep.
Or
Yeah, no, I'll talk. I mean, I only have speculations, and this is well, knowing what I know now about the technology we have, and you know, there's time travel involved in a lot of this stuff, and we have to understand that that's a reality. I genuinely think that there was some sort of timeline viewing technology where these agencies are able to basically look down your timeline and know if you'll become a threat or not to whatever, the Matrix, for lack of a better term. And they can go back in time to a point to where just before you become that threat and try to throw you off course, right? To thwart that effort. And I felt like it was, they were trying to get me off, get me out of here, do whatever they needed to do before I started Journey to Truth, or whatever, before I started my awakening and really like moved into this as a full-time job, you know. That's my best guess why it was, just to basically divert me from my path of enlightenment.
Yeah. And yeah, so, and that makes a lot of sense, because the Queen of Wands has come up. She's my integrity card. So it's like you were maintaining your integrity. And I feel that you actually enhanced your clairvoyance, all of your clear states, because that cat's really standing out. So they would have blocked them probably, or used them for themselves. So Wheel of Fortune, this was your whole expedition here for you to experience, was to move forward with what you're doing. Totally. King of Swords, you were writing your own story. He's the master of writing stories and programs or whatever. So I've also getting told now that you have a gift for actually writing programs that they would have used for them. That's what's just coming through as well with that King of Swords. So they wanted your gifts, number one. Yeah, and they would have done it by any deception possible, but you would have had to agree to it. So that's why I kept getting really strongly. If you'd agreed to go with Larry, that's it. You were gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would have quite literally physically had to get in his truck and go with him. And like I said, that I think about what that could have meant for me, you know, and yeah.
Yeah. So it was almost like an initiation for you. So It was like your soul was putting you through an initiation with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's wild to me. Like, I wrote it off as just crazy until I learned about Laura Eisenhower's testimony and the Mars programs and what she went through, and Andrew Bashago. I'm like, wait, this is like something that happens to other people, and like they're claiming that it's real. Like, I need to go back and like revisit this entire time in my life with Larry now. And I really sat with it and had to write down like everything I remembered that he told me, and there's so much more to it. I put as much as I can remember in the book. And then there's even stuff that's come to me after the fact. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to put that little detail, but yeah, we get the gist of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it looks like, again, a lot of this is that you're waking others up, right? And that for them is not good. So it's, it's amazing. Okay. Is there anything else you want to ask Tyler before I move on? Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, I want to ask.
Yeah, I want you to also ask things that might come up in your head.
You know, you're bringing up questions that I'm not necessarily thinking of. So I really like that, because I felt like I've asked all the questions that come to mind, but now like this has been so expansive for me because I'm just breaking it down a little more. But off the top of my head, no, like I'm just curious to see what you want to get into next. So,
okay. All right. Well, jump in anytime. Okay. All right. So chapter 4, let's see what chapter 4 is, if I can find it. Oh, this is a visitor from Inner Earth. Okay. So you want to tell people about this chapter real quick?
Basically, I had an inner earth being visit me in my basement in the middle of the night in 2018. after I had initiated it through a month of literally setting the intention during meditation to have communication with an inner earth being. And they basically showed up in the form of a text message, actually, from an unknown number in the middle of the night after I fell asleep meditating. And the text message said, "Are you ready to meet us?" I fundamentally knew it was them. I didn't even question it. I just innately knew. And I said, "Of course." And they said, "Come to your back door." And I slept in the basement at the time, and I had to walk out basement. So I got up and walked to my back door. I'm looking around outside. It was warm outside. You know, I was just sitting there in my boxers, standing there in my boxers, looking around, looking up, and like literally thinking, seeing nothing. And I thought my friends pranked me, and I thought I had just taken a bait. And I'm crazy. Like, obviously they're not texting me, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, come on, Tyler, you know. And then I turn around to like close the door and come back inside, and like quite literally standing there is this apparition phasing in to my reality. Like if you were to catch a ghost on camera, but it was real. And but it was clearer than that. She had features. She was tall, blonde, with this white gown on, but I could only see the top 3/4 of her body. Like her feet were just almost like a ghost, kind of like just like phased in there. And I was frozen in fear, not because I was scared of her, because I don't care who you are. When you're standing in your house in the middle of the night and you turn around and somebody's there that's not supposed to be there, I don't care if it's your dad or a burglar, like it's going to startle you. But then on top of it, it's not just a person, you're like seeing this apparition. So it's like double whammy, you know, like I'm like literally frozen standing there and like not understanding what I'm seeing yet. And she's like phasing in, and it's this beautiful woman, you know, and it's just like, it takes my breath away. But then in hindsight, I think what happened was she altered the density of the room so she could even appear. And by doing that, it almost put me in a state of paralysis, because it wasn't painful. I just couldn't use my body. Like it was hard to explain. And she gave me this telepathic message that said, "Honey, you're not ready." Like I had been trying to communicate, but she came. It's almost like they were watching me, and they're like, "Okay, you better go visit this poor guy. Let him know that yes, we exist. He can communicate with us, but like he's here for something entirely different. This is only secondary to his mission." And so basically, that's what happened. And she disappeared, and it's a whole story. I mean, there's a lot more to it. I'm just giving you the bullet points.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tyler couldn't go back and find the text when he tried to go back to his phone to find the text. They weren't there. So I was wondering, do they I almost feel like it's another reality? It's kind of weird. I don't know how to explain what I feel, but
Okay.
is
Like
it?
did I perceive that? Like did
Yeah,
I think or they actually have a technology to just bloop, you know, I mean,
exactly. That's my question.
yeah, yeah.
Did he move into a different reality where they made it look like the phone was saying whatever, or is it actually real technology that they have?
I love
Right.
this. It's really good questions. Because I've had weird stuff happen as well on videos and things. And it's like, yeah. Yeah, okay. So I'll just do one more card and then we'll see what comes through. So the hermits come up. So to me, this is when we go really deep. So you'd been meditating, you'd been really dropping into a different frequency, so they could actually reach you. See that lantern? It's like they could finally actually reach you. You had to do as much moving as they did, because they couldn't have come in if you weren't in that place. So, and then again, we've got our Knight of Pentacles. So they were bringing something into your reality. So that was them bringing their frequency in. And this has been like the Seven of Pentacles. I think this is something you'd maybe even thought about a long time ago, or something you'd been working on for quite a long time and just waiting for it to come to fruition. I'm just going to pull one more. Yeah, so they came to you as much as you went to them, per se. So,
Right.
yeah, Knight of Cups. So it was a gentle emotional message, because again, the night's always the one that brings in a message. So yeah, it like you said, I don't feel it was something that was really important. It was good you did it, because it made you focus, and it made you sense and feel what the different realms actually are and how they can come into our realm. But you wouldn't have been able to see them unless you'd done that work with all your meditating and
Right. I mean, I even like quit eating meat, and like I was eating a high vibe diet. Like I was doing everything possible to get my frequency up. I was like, I can do this, you know?
Yeah.
And
Well, it shows, because that's what
Yeah.
the cards were saying, that you did your work and then they could come to you. Otherwise you wouldn't have seen her.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the intention is huge. Just the
Right.
intention of you wanting to meet them. But so Maree, is your feeling that they do have a technology that can put that on his phone, or did he just go to a different place?
Yeah. So actually, it was really interesting. So the Wheel of Fortune's come up. So I feel that it merges. I feel that they can manipulate technology as well through frequency, and you moved yourself enough for that to get onto your phone. Okay. And then the frequency, you wouldn't have needed it anymore. The frequency dropped off. So yeah. And I think that's what really mucked with your mind, because the Five of Swords has come up and it was like, what? Where did it go? What happened? How did I get that text message? But yeah, so that, I think, is that the one thing that actually caused you like a lot of questioning as well?
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because, well, for one, the very first thing I wanted to do as soon as she left and I broke free was go screenshot that, because I was like, no one's going to believe me. Like, I need like proof, you know? And I'm like, no. And I'm looking into deleted photos and like everything, you know, and there's just nothing there. And I was like, it was so confused, you know, and I remember I fell back asleep and I woke up in the morning. I checked again because I was like, no, it's got to be there. Like that happened. This like, and I wasn't there. And so, yeah.
They can muck with frequency. It's a little bit like our loved ones that are in the next realm. They can play with like electricity and frequency. So can beings from another realm as well. That Ace of Swords is telling me that, yes, so they can do that. So, and you know, it's like we had a video. We just took it one night at this beautiful place, and there was two of my friends in it, and then this body moved past it, and we went, "Who's that?" And we watched it 3 or 4 times, and then it was gone. So it's like a frequency effect.
Wow. Yeah. Right. I mean, exactly. I think they have to alter the density, like I said, to even be perceivable here. And like it was like she couldn't even fully phase in because of that. Like I think it's too dense for them. It actually probably physically hurts their body, like hurts them to do that. And you know, just from what I've read, like even our thoughts can be painful to them. Like a negative thought about them could actually hurt them in such a way we just don't understand here on the surface, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting. Have you ever thought to actually meditate and to drop into inner earth and go in through a meditation? Like go through
I have actually recently, and when I was in Mount Shasta, and I went and I experienced this healing chamber, and it was like this emerald green water, and there's a whole story. I mean, I can tell you the whole story if you want, but it'll take a little time. But I ended up through meditation up on Mount Shasta in a very specific spot that I knew people have had success entering Telos, and I was experiencing some physical body pain that I was like really needing some help with, and I just sat in meditation and I went into this healing chamber. Well, first of all, nothing was happening, and like I was like nothing was. I was just sitting there in meditation, like kind of waiting for something to happen, wanting something to happen, and I heard in my head they said, "Create it."
Yeah.
They said, "Create it. You create it, the experience." And I just like suddenly I got downloaded and I knew exactly what to do. I just like bilocated and like astral projected, whatever, my consciousness down into this underground city, right? And I was in this healing chamber and there was this woman there and she was like, "Welcome to Telos." And she's like, "Would you like a tour or would you like to see the healing chamber?" She telepathically already knew while I was there. And I said, "I would love a tour, but I just need help You know, I was actually in a lot of pain. I had dislocated my shoulder and some stuff was going on. And I was going through this whole like detox. It was I was actually kind of struggling at the time. And I was supposed to be on this trip, right? And I was desperately kind of needing help. So there was like this fountain with this emerald green water, and it was just beautiful. And I got in it. I took my clothes off and I got in it, and it was like immediately adjusted to the comfortable temperature for me. And it was not like, it was a liquid. It wasn't water. Like it was thicker than that. And it was just amazing. I don't know how to describe it. It felt like heaven, and you would just get in it, but it was actually like absorbing into my skin and into my bones, and like just like working through me, like flushing out my system and transmuting everything. And it was one of the most like enlightening things, the most amazing things I ever felt. And then like, I don't know how long I was there, and there's a little more that happened, but next thing I know, I'm opening my eyes and I'm up there on the mountain. Like I just came out of meditation, and I had no idea that I had forgotten about my physical body, you know. And there was more that happened after that too. But later that day, what made it real was I went back to our Airbnb and I went to use the bathroom. I went pee, TMI, and I swear on my mother that my pee was emerald green, like Mountain Dew. And I got full body chills, and I'm like, wait, oh my God, that was real.
Yeah.
Like I went, and like later that day I peed again, and it was like a lighter emerald green, like I was still peeing it out. And then like up prior to that and after that, like nothing changed in my diet or anything. And I just usually pee normal, right? But it was like such a fluorescent, like looked like neon green. I don't know how to describe it. And it made it so real for me. And I was like, holy cow, like we make it so hard for ourselves to communicate when we can just create it. And it was such a beautiful lesson for me. And I was like, well, now that I know I can do that, like, let's see what else I can do. But it was very interesting. But yeah, so I have done that.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think too, with meditation, people sort of wait for something to happen, but you're quite right. It's almost like you've got to let yourself go on a journey, and then wherever you get guided to or taken to, and then
Right.
it's there. Yeah.
Oh, and then prior to that, I was trying to like, we were in Shasta. So what do I want to do? I want to go in the earth, right? And see till I'm trying to constantly like manifest that. And I had this dream where I got to go. Like I was met by these beings, and they brought me through this portal. But when I brought me through the portal and I got into the city, like physically, the portal, the effects from the portal were like painful, like detrimental, to the point where it sucked. It hurt so bad. I'm like, I changed my mind. Like, I don't want to go. Like, this is horrible. And they were like, this is why we brought you. You don't understand. You can't just come here physically. Like, it takes years. Like, you got to prepare yourself and devote your life if you actually want to come visit the city physically. Like, we can take you through the portal, but your physical body quite literally can't handle the frequency here. So it's just not a frequency match. And like, I came back and I even woke up in pain with the memory, like, oh my, because I came back through the portal. When I came back, it was even worse because like I had been through it twice. And I woke up in my bed and I was like, oh my God, like I changed my mind. I don't want to go down there, you know? But I understood. So then I went and had that, it was right after that till I went up on the mountain and had that experience in the healing chamber. And it was a much easier way, and the way that we all should be trying to go places like that. You can bilocate. I mean, you really can.
Yeah,
Wow.
totally. That's a great story.
Woo!
Yeah. Amazing story. And, you know, I think, and you're so right. You know, we can create these beautiful healing spaces. As Nicole has said, we make it so hard for ourselves. We can just create it.
Right.
So that's such a good thing for people to know.
Yeah, no, it was a lesson for me, but it wasn't me. Well, maybe it was my higher self. It was like, just create it, just go. Like you don't have to wait for some being the mountain to open it up and then say, welcome to Telos. You know, it wasn't like that. You just like, you can do that. And the intention's there. So they understand whenever you do show up, like they're ready to receive that. And so anyway.
Well,
Yeah,
it's funny, Tyler. I have a story too that I did a meditation where I tried to connect because that's back when I was connecting with Lowell Johnson. And so I was like, well, I want to connect with them. So the what happened was like the portal opened and I'm walking behind this being that has this beautiful long white hair and these white flowing robes, and I'm like, oh my god, and I could feel it was me, and I was like, oh my god, I'm going to be so beautiful. And as I go around and I look at the face, it's this like a Chinese looking guy, old guy with like a goatee with the long Fu Manchu, like the really ancient Chinese guys, like the really knowledgeable. And he had like blue eyes, like I can't even explain, just when you see those eyes that are just like coming out of they're just so bright and so like they almost look fake.
Right.
And the eyes were very like closed off being. It wasn't like it looked exactly like we do. The eyes were more slanted, but those bright eyes. And then this old guy and I'm like, oh, okay. I was expecting to be this beautiful girl with the long white hair, and all of a sudden I'm this like Chinese guy, like just like, oh, that's so funny. So I think the whole idea of the contrast where it shocked me that it was not this beautiful girl. I think that was the end of that. I don't remember anything else, but
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So that story just cracks me up every time. But anyway, we are at 106, Maree. I don't know if you want to ask Jazzy if he has anything that he wants to tell us. I know that Kathleen was asking if he has anything to tell us, although I think he would tell you if he had something to say.
Yeah, so I'm not. He's not. He's fine. Okay. I think what we're doing, it's really interesting because I think when the three of us get together, it's almost like everything's heightened anyway. Like I feel like the intuition, the seeing of it, everything that comes through, the questions, everything just really takes things up really quickly.
I'm buzzing over here. I feel that heightened state for sure. So you guys definitely create that. And this has been this has been wonderful. Actually, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you, and it's so relaxed. I just feel comfortable talking to you. So,
well, wonderful. That's fantastic. So, okay. So the next question that I'm going to ask you when we come back has to do with some of the information that you put there about Admiral Byrd and about the German crewman that made it to Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So that gives time for people to go get the book and read it and catch up with us. So that's page 71. So if this has been fascinating for you, it's going to get even more fascinating. We're going to talk about some really weird spiders. And so it's going to get way more interesting. So if you thought this was interesting, this is nothing. It's going to get out of this world. And I really hope that you guys, also bring your questions, right? Once you read the book, I'm sure you're going to have questions as well. And so I'm really looking forward to having those too. So, Tyler, again, you are more than welcome to bring your own questions as well. So,
no, thank you. I mean, I really appreciate the format. And if I do have any specific questions, I will ask you, definitely. But I actually appreciate the format, and I like to see what you bring because you're thinking of things that I'm not thinking of, which is like breaking that boundary for me. So I really like that.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you everybody for being here. I'm so grateful for you. Tyler will be back with us on the 26th or 27th, one of those two.
27th, I believe, is what we said. Monday.
27 Monday. Yeah, the 27th.
And I just want to say thank you also for like, this has been so validating, like to hearing the cards confirm like the stuff that I'm going through and stuff. You know, when you write, like I tell the stories, whatever, they're in my head, but when I put them in the book, I'm like, this sounds batshit crazy, you know, like reading it back to myself, and I'm like, whatever, like people already have made up their mind about me at this point. But the confirmation and the validation from the cards has been honestly the most rewarding thing from this, and I really appreciate that. And if I'm wrong about something, I hope the cards, like I'm just interested to learn and uncover what actually happened, you know. So I'm just genuinely grateful. So.
All right. Well, thank you. We are grateful that you also agreed to come, right? It takes two to tango.
Right.
So thank you so
fun.
much. Yeah, it's just always fun. So we definitely can't wait to have you back on the 27th. All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you again. And if you enjoyed it, please share. And most important, read the book. All right. See you guys next Monday.
Good night, guys.
Bye.